All right, so we're looking at the Prop 1 T12 here. Now, what you haven't seen on the screen and what I've already done is highlighted, copy, and pasted everything in here, starting with E1. Pasted it in. We've got our 5 formatting items. First thing we do is go to Format, clear formatting while it's highlighted. Second, third, and fourth, we're going to go to horizontal align in the middle, vertical align in the middle, and text wrap. And then the fifth would be format number and number again. And then once we have that in there, obviously this is still going to be highlighted in the background. We want to make sure that the decimal point is where we want it. So we'll go here and we'll decrease it. So that way we get no decimals like we're looking at now.
Yeah.
Next step is going to be cutting and pasting what was in column R. Typically your totals are going to be right in here. And we're going to cut and paste that into column D. Once that is done, then we just go through our normal coding process step by step. You can see we've already got it coded in here. From there, we're going to go back to the Prop 1 tab. We're going to check out our colors. And hopefully we don't have a lot of red, and we've got more green. Right now we have red in this cell D19, but that is okay because the total effective or total / effective gross income is green. So I don't understand the subtle nuances behind it, but because of this other income, good and bad, it still equals out to being green like we want it. From there, I believe we are going to move on to our numbers. And feel free to cut in here at any point, Max, if I'm skipping any steps.
The only thing I might say is now you kind of go up to that top column O, where you're looking at the 12 months versus last 3 months.
That's right. So what we did, because oftentimes a lot of properties are going to have slightly different totals over the last 3 months, especially if they were just going through and increasing rents or trying to increase rents in anticipation of putting the property on the market. Sometimes your last 3 months, I'm going to go back to the T12 here, will be higher on average when you annualize that out. Now, for this particular property, it was actually the opposite. So right here we have our 12 months of 296 and some change, and we've already gone through and put in our 3 months, which is actually a little bit lower. Now we skipped over that step of how we actually did that, so let's see if I can explain it accurately. The last 3 months that we're talking about is found in this row 4 here, the 74,085. And let's see if I delete this, if we can do this from the beginning again. So what we're going to do is we're going to click in this open cell that we're going to code for our 3 months. Boom. Once we've clicked in that open cell, we're going to go up to our function sum tool. We want to make sure that our cursor is in between these parentheses there. Once our cursor is in between those parentheses, we're going to highlight the last 3 months, November, December, January. I believe if we click enter, we get error, and that is not what we want. Perhaps I mixed something up, but let's try one more time. Highlight last 3, enter, and there we go. So last 3 months total there. Now we click back to our Prop 1. We get the same thing in cell O3. And now we can toggle back and forth and see the change in the 12 months versus the 3 months. So again,
where do you see that change each time you toggle those?
great question. So where we see that change, I believe, is in our numbers right here in cell I-12. Is that right? Let's toggle again to see if that's true. 344. Yep, and 346. Now you'll notice that our numbers here are significantly higher than theirs. And I believe that is because I am forgetting. Why are our numbers significantly higher than theirs, Max?
Charmaine or Darnell, do you know?
Yeah, we are factoring the increase.
Ah, thank you, Charmaine. Thank you. Yes. So we are factoring in this $100 increase per unit. Now let's see, just to prove that point, if we go to 0, there is no increase, and then we are back at where we want to be. So let's bring it back to 100 plus. This is just kind of a way of seeing from a bird's eye view without getting into the details what the returns would hypothetically look like if we were able to increase each unit by $100 only in the first year. So it's very surface level, a way of looking at it initially. Next step, which we've already done here, I
And
believe.
I might go to the loan next just to make sure you've checked those numbers, because it drops in starter numbers for the new loan, but
Mhm.
you kind of want to go back through them. Like it dropped in 25% down and you changed it to 20, right? So look at
Right,
your loan quickly.
So I think when we start off from the beginning too, it actually gives us an assumption loan, and like Max said,
Oh,
25%. At least that's what I think I've noticed. But we want to make sure that this is accurate with how our strategy with this property is going to work. So for argument's sake, let's say that we are assuming a new loan. We want it to be a 20% unless you think otherwise, a 4% interest rate unless you think otherwise. Um, we have a loan assumption fee or loan origination fee of 1% and an interest only here of 2 years.
and that won't affect you in this analysis. That's set up for the 10-year analysis, right? So it's just, that's the way it's set, 2 years interest only. It's not going to help you in this one. The interest only on this one is down in the H43 that you adjusted.
I see. Okay. So then if we are not going to do interest only, then we're going to click into that. We'll do P&I. That obviously drops our numbers there. But now when we have P&I in here, Max, this interest only 2 years, is that essentially null and void? It doesn't have an impact on.
No, because the 2 years doesn't affect this analysis. It's jumping down the road to the 10-year pro forma. So that 2 doesn't have any effect on this template, on this portion of the template.
Okay. So basically, if we
Yeah.
change this, what you're saying, none of the numbers will change.
Correct. In this
Gotcha.
one. Yep.
Got it.
But down the road in that 10-year, it'll start to change. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So then after we've gone through and verified that our financing is accurate to what we want it to be, we might just continue down and quickly double check our acquisition fee, our closing costs, everything else here is as we want it. Another key item here, which correlates to the 100 that we put in cell O5, is going to be our approximate unit interior upgrade budget. So right here we have 8,000 per unit, which brings us to an extra 320K of capex that would need to be raised as part of the acquisition cost. And it obviously delineates too whether it's going to be an interior or exterior upgrade. There's a couple things that we can plug in there if we want to get more into the details. From there, this is something that we've already changed, but I would jump back over to column G. This percentage factors in vacancy and things of that nature. So I believe physical vacancy in this template is automatically set to 5%. But the reason why we want this to be at a 0% is because we are assuming, based on the rent roll that we got, that this particular owner, seller, has not included a vacancy. In other words, even though this says gross potential rent, it actually is not quite accurate, and it's not the gross potential rent, it's the actual gross rent that they have been collecting over the last 12 months. So basically, the vacancy factor is already inputted there. So if we had a vacancy of 5%, then we would be adding on an additional vacancy to percentage to whatever is already factored in. So we want to leave that at 0, and the same thing for the rest of them. Having said that, this is a unique situation, and that's just because of the way that the rent roll was produced from the current owner and seller. How am I doing so far, Max?
Yeah, good. Keep going. Jump to that next box down below. Talk about taxes and keep going down through the per expenses.
Okay, so we're going to continue to cycle through our numbers here. Property taxes, I believe this is a pre-existing formula set within the Excel spreadsheet. We can change it by, I believe, either clicking on the percentage and changing our percentage or our dollar per unit. And you'll notice that off the top of my head, it's not a full 100% increase, maybe an 85% increase, something like that, from what they were paying in property taxes to what we are paying in property taxes. Ideally, when we take this underwriting to the next level, we're going to be calling the county assessor's office, getting the millage rate, as well as the assessed value of the property, and calculating our own property taxes to make sure that it's nice and accurate. For the moment, though, because it is such a steep increase, we can assume that there will be some sort of an increase that is a little significant, and we'll leave it at that. For argument's sake, we have already changed a lot of our dollar per unit to match what the seller's dollar per unit is. And we did that in anticipation, or in the hopes that our cash on cash return here at the bottom would start looking a lot better. So essentially, when we are going through this underwriting, we're starting in the best case scenario, right? The best case scenario is that if our numbers match the seller's numbers and this cash on cash return looks nice and juicy, well, then we know that it warrants a deeper dive. If we're in a best case scenario here, because we know that the seller is already going to present the best case scenario in their OM, and even in that best case scenario, our cash on cash is not anything that will fly for a syndication, and then I think we can feel pretty confident in tossing this property to the side and moving on to the next. So just to go back through our numbers, we've mirrored the make ready cost, which is nothing. Excuse me. We've mirrored the general admin, 121 per unit. The management fee we've left at the same 10.3%. Utilities, we have increased them by 1%. The argument could be made that that 1% could be 2%. Then for marketing advertising, we included $100 per unit where they put nothing, and mirrored again the contract services as well as the miscellaneous expense. So as you can see, again, we're in a pretty good case scenario here. The only thing that we would want to be careful about that significantly increased our total expenses was the property taxes. But even after all of that, and we are still not looking very great for our cash on cash return.
Change that back to interest only so we can at least look a little better.
That's true.
There. And it's green. Explain why it's green at 4.1.
Great question. So all of these rules of thumb, we have the ability to change. It's under this tolerance of check values tab here. So right now we have 4% as our minimum percentage. We're over a 4% there, which is why it's green. Let's see if we change it to 3% though. It stays green. Oh no, I'm sorry. We want to go the other direction. So let's say we change it to a 7% minimum, then it's going to take us into the red here. So basically, we're able to set our own parameters when we get more confident with the spreadsheet, and it allows us to have a more aesthetically pleasing front page here.
Okay, so I think that's awesome. I'm going to stop you there because that's a pretty good summary of everything you did, and you did it in about 8 minutes or something. So that's awesome. I think for next week, Darnell, you're looking to do the same type thing. Charmaine, you're looking to do the same type thing. Find a property that you can put in the T12, you can run through and then present it at the next meeting, right? And at some point, we're going to get to using the rent roll converter too. And I think you'll see us move further through as we advance down this road.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, it's 6:29. Just open up. I think you're unmuted already. What's your ratings for the meeting? You're not rating the presenter, but the meeting.
Good job, Tyler. 9. I learned a lot.
I give
Thank
it
you,
a
Sherman.
10. Yeah, I give it a 10 too.
Yeah.
No, let
What's
me
your
change
rating,
my
Tyler?
mind. 10.
Well, Tyler, you get to rate it too. What's your rating of the meeting?
I'll rate it a 10 because I did not know that was coming, and it was great practice. So thank you for
Yeah.
giving me that opportunity, and I appreciate the feedback.
Yeah, the teacher always learns the most. So your goal each week is, you need to do enough practice and get a good one in there that you can be the presenter, and then we'll switch back and forth. We have a small enough group, we can rotate between us. And there's even 2 members not here, so it works out good when, we have a smaller group, then you get to present, and then that's when you learn more. I think you take your next step forward.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank
did a
you all.
great job. I'm going to go over this video thoroughly because I did see a lot.
Yes.
And Charmaine and Darnell, I opened up individual underwriting templates for you in this folder.
I see
So
it.
go ahead and underwrite this property. Drop in the T12 and see if you can mimic it. And then when you get stuck, go back and watch the video. It's this exact property that you're working on.
Yes.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
right. See you tomorrow night.
Tomorrow.
Live and prosper. Live long and prosper, you guys.
You have to do it with
Okay. Thank
I
you.
know my hand won't go like that. I can't make it. Gosh darn it. Okay, you guys.
All right. Have a
See
good
you-
night.
All right.
See you
good
tomorrow.
night.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.